A sudden global power outage occurred. All technology stopped working, instantly plunging the world into chaos. A man named Yuki Suzuki works for a small Japanese company that supplies office equipment. His wife Mitsu is a housewife who often gets irritable and tends to be critical, especially when things don't go as planned. Their son Kenji is a typical gloomy student who prefers not to interact with others and spends most of his time wearing headphones, shutting himself off from the world. Their daughter Yui is completely absorbed in her appearance and her addiction to social media. She focuses all her attention on taking photos, makeup, and the likes she receives online. The Suzuki family appears to be a typical modern Japanese family, each living in their own world and preoccupied with their individual concerns. One morning, Suzuki realizes he has overslept for work. His alarm didn't go off, and his wife irritably informs him that the power is out, which means she won't be able to watch her favorite TV shows. The family is also unable to prepare breakfast, as the rice cooker and electric stove aren't working. Suzuki, along with his son and daughter, heads downstairs. He tries to get to work, but all the trains have stopped and no one is allowed onto the platform. Kenji is a little luckier. He has a bicycle, but his phone battery is dead, and now he's left without music, which clearly frustrates him. People try to get to work by taxi, but that's impossible as well, since all cars have stalled. Somehow the batteries aren't working. Mitsu steps outside to take out the trash and starts discussing the situation with the neighbors. It seems like everyone will now have to buy candles for light. Suzuki walks to the office, but upon arrival, he finds the building locked. They need electricity to open the doors. The employees, in an attempt to get in, break the glass door, but it's useless. The servers are down and the computers aren't working. Yui arrives at school, but her teacher couldn't make it in time, so classes are cancelled. The same thing happens at Kenji's university. Meanwhile, Mitsu heads to the store and fills her cart with groceries. However, at the checkout, she gets an unpleasant surprise. The cashier only accepts cash since neither the card terminals nor ATMs are working. Suzuki is sent home from work. It makes no sense to stay at the office if nothing is functioning. He buys a bicycle to get home faster. In the evening, the family has dinner by candlelight, eating food from the store, and they admire the bright stars, which are now more visible without the city lights. Another day passes, but the electricity is still out. Students start reading books, and office workers are once again sent home. Water also becomes an issue in the city. The water tower stops supplying water because the pumps are no longer working. Water becomes scarce, and people begin to panic. Riots break out in the streets, and in one of these altercations, Suzuki gets hit in the nose. The seventh day without electricity arrives. Store shelves have long been empty, schools are closed, and more people are leaving Tokyo every day. The Suzuki family also realizes it's time to leave. Yuki suggests heading to Kagoshima, where their grandfather lives. They start packing their belongings and counting the cash they have left. At dawn, having gathered everything, the family leaves their home and sets off on 3 bicycles. At first, the journey goes relatively smoothly. Along the way, Suzuki notices speculators selling drinking water at sky-high prices, which feels like robbery. However, his wife finds a way to bargain, and they manage to buy water for much less. They stop for a short snack on a bench in a park, watching a homeless man trying to catch fish from a local pond. Soon after, the teenagers begin searching for a restroom, but the local public toilet is so filthy and smelly that they are forced to find cover in the bushes. When they finally reach the airport, they discover that it's not operational either. Planes aren't flying, and the airport building has turned into a zone of chaos, with people rioting and fighting with the police. The family decides to spend the night in a small motel, where they realize that they'll have to continue their journey to the village by bicycle. They find an old road map and estimate that it will take about a month to reach Kagoshima. Finding a small shop, the family trades water and wine for an additional bicycle. Now they have 4 bikes and a little rice, enough to keep going. Following the map and road signs, the family continues their journey, but they soon notice that many people are leaving Tokyo using the same means. Tired from the long road, they stop on the grass to rest a bit. By evening, it becomes clear that they will have to spend the night outdoors. However, during the night, thieves attack them and steal one of their water bottles. Kenji tries to chase the thief but stops when he sees it's a family with a small child, so he returns. It is now the 16th day without electricity. The family is washing their clothes in a small pond, realizing they have only 4 matches left and no drinking water. In desperation, Suzuki decides to drink water directly from the pond, but this leads to disastrous consequences. By evening, he develops a severe stomachache. To make matters worse, a hurricane strikes, forcing them to hide and seek shelter from the cold. After the storm, they begin gathering whatever belongings they can salvage. The loss of technology isn't as significant, but a punctured bicycle tire, broken glasses, and spilled rice are serious setbacks. Trash is scattered everywhere, and Kenji and Yui find a store with no rice, matches, or spare tires. However, they do manage to find silicone glue, a smoke flare, cat food, and a bottle of distilled water. Suzuki tries to start a fire but fails, and the family realizes their journey will be much more difficult than they had anticipated. Kenji fixes the punctured tire, and the family continues their journey. By the 22nd day, they are eating the last of the canned cat food and drinking the remaining distilled water. During one of their stops, they notice another family, professional athletes who have a sufficient supply of water. The athletes share their secret. They get drinking water from a mountain stream. They also teach our heroes how to dry and smoke various foods, as well as how to gather and use herbs. For some time, both families travel together, but Suzuki is deeply saddened by the fact that other people were better prepared and more successful than him. Soon their paths diverge. The characters arrive in Osaka, where there is no electricity, and a true humanitarian disaster is unfolding in the streets. Yui can't handle the tension and argues with her father. People are living directly on the streets, lighting fires to cook food. It turns out there's an aquarium nearby, and its inhabitants have already become food for the starving citizens. The characters join long line, hoping to get at least a piece of fish, but unfortunately, their hopes are dashed. All the food has been taken. Suzuki, unable to feed his children, falls to his knees and cries bitterly. It's now the 67th day of their journey. The family is exhausted from hunger and fatigue. At one point they simply collapse onto the grass. Suzuki finds a grasshopper and prepares to eat it, but then notices a white piglet. The man grabs a rope, and together with his family, they try to catch the animal. Despite the pig's desperate resistance, it becomes their prey. However, no one knows how to properly butcher the boar. Fortunately, a local old man appears, helps them, and invites them to his home, offering water from a well. This feels like an incredible luxury after their long days of wandering. The old man shares that he used to have a farm, but all his pigs ran away. The family enjoys a hot, hearty meal, and soon the old man's neighbor arrives, trading vegetables for chicken eggs. Now the characters must salt and smoke the meat to prevent it from spoiling. Although this unpleasant task disgusts them, they have no choice. Without the meat, they won't survive. Helping the old man with his household chores, the family finally takes a much-needed bath. The next morning they are tasked with bringing back the runaway pigs. Finding them is easy, but catching them in a net proves much harder. Despite the difficulties, they manage to succeed. The old man offers them to stay with him, but the characters refuse, as they are determined to reach Kagoshima, where their grandfather lives. The host gives them plenty of food for the road. At first their journey goes well, but soon they encounter a river. Suzuki finds a paddle on the shore, and the characters build a raft from logs and ropes to transport themselves and their belongings across. Then Suzuki and his son return for the bicycles. A heavy rain begins, the river swells and one of the bicycles sinks. In an attempt to save the second bike, Suzuki falls into the water, and the raft is destroyed, swept away by the current. The family is once again in despair, weeping bitterly. 94 days without electricity pass. Mitsu and the children continue their long journey on foot. They are exhausted, feeling miserable and scared, but they cannot stop. They must keep moving forward. A stray dog joins their group, whining pitifully from hunger. Yui decides to share a piece of meat with it after seeing it suffering. However, soon a whole pack of hungry dogs appears, trying to snatch Mitsu's backpack full of food. In a desperate attempt to protect their supplies, Mitsu falls off a cliff and breaks her leg. The dogs devour all the supplies in her backpack instantly. The children, pushing through their exhaustion, try to carry their mother on their shoulders, but the vicious dogs continue barking behind them. After a while they collapse to the ground from exhaustion, and the pack of predators draws closer. Suddenly a noise breaks the silence. A train appears on the horizon. The vicious dogs are scared off and run away, while the train stops to pick up new passengers. Inside the carriage are many people suffering from the same hardships. The teenagers are given water, and the mother's leg is bandaged. When they are asked about their father, the children begin to cry. However, the fate of the head of the family is not as tragic as one might think. Suzuki, the children's father, survived. He was washed ashore after the flood and miraculously regained consciousness. Upon waking, he begins to walk along the road and soon spots the very same train. Suzuki pulls out a flare from his pocket and lights it. Mitsu sees the flame and demands the train be stopped. The children run toward their father. He is saved. The family is reunited, and the train continues its journey. It is now the 108th day without electricity. The family reaches Kagoshima, where they find their grandfather. Over 2 years pass, and life in the village gradually returns to its usual rhythm. Suzuki and his son have become skilled fishermen. Mitsu and her daughter have mastered the art of sewing, and the grandfather lovingly grows vegetables in his garden. One morning at dawn, Suzuki wakes up and notices the working clock. Electricity has finally returned. People come out of their homes, amazed to see the streetlights turning on and the windows of houses once again glowing with warm light. Street sweepers appear on the roads, public transportation resumes, and life returns to its former order. Scientists explain that the power outage was caused by a massive solar flare. Thankfully, everything is now working as before. The lives of the characters have changed. They are now closer than ever and appreciate each other more, as that's what a real family should be. And so the film ends. Thank you for watching, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy it.